What's up guys, ZiSotto here, and today we have, as announced, a special guest as we're making a tier list for Season 7. Some of you already guessed who it is. It's Wlfy, currently playing for Obey. You want to quickly introduce yourself to those who might not know you for whatever reason?
I've been a professional player for about 3 years, missed the Kraken at Worlds, came back, lost another Worlds. Now I'm here in Season 7, hopefully to make it to Worlds again. So yeah, it's been a wild ride, man.
Alright. I like that you introduced yourself with Mr. Kraken as well. That's
hey man, everybody knows it.
Yeah, you got it. You don't have to hold a grudge for yourself over that. Okay, so today we're going to make a tier list mainly focused on casual and ranked, not so much on competitive. And Wlfy has been playing a ton of PTS. If you've been watching his stream announcements, always PTS every day. So yeah, he's gonna have a lot of valuable input here, probably more than I have at this point. And at the same time, keep in mind this is a very early stage of a tier list, so to speak, because PTS is not the same as actual client in terms of, well, many things really. And we're trying to make an estimation for the gods here. We might try to get a feel on them based on how they've been performing on PTS, but also how the item changes may affect them or not affect them. There's gonna be a lot of anecdotal stuff and not as much statistical stuff as you'd usually have when there's SPL stats or something. So it's going to be a basic overview and nothing here is set in stone, and there's probably going to be some like secret meta strats that will be found later that will change some things for some gods here, but this is a start basically. And with that, let's begin. The first god that we have is Achilles. Wlfy, do you have anything to say on Achilles?
He's been really strong last year. This year he's got a couple of nerfs, but he's still sitting at the top of the list. Maybe he's not going to be an SS character because it's not due to the nerf that he's had, but you can put him in the soul lane and you can put him in the jungle as well. Probably preferably you keep him in the soul lane. But all in all, he's still one of the top characters out there for the soul lane.
Yeah. I think he had did he have a change on PTS? Yeah, he had a change on PTS, right? He got a minor nerf to the Radiant Glory after getting his attack range back in the last patch before that. So definitely still a strong character overall. That was affected by a few changes outside of that as well. I think he loses a bit of the bully potential with Mystical Male coming back because he wouldn't really have too much of a place with an item on him. But yeah, where would you say, around S-ish?
Yeah, I'd say around either S or A+.
Yeah, A+,
something
maybe.
Like that.
Yeah. Let's say A+, and then we'll see. Okay, we gotta. I should I should speed it up because we don't have that much time. Okay, Arachne, you're the mid laner. Go on.
He is the pure balance of the mid lane, which when I look at him, I normally put him in A because that's where I see all the characters as being balanced. He is still struggling a little bit in the early game. However, as soon as he gets like past level 5, he can start poking and farming a little bit better because of his bombs. But all in all, he's just balanced. Yep.
And I don't think that changes too much with the new items or anything. He decently benefits from them, but it's not overwhelmingly. AMC, character that I haven't actually seen in the new season at all.
I truly don't know what to think about AMC, especially at the moment, because he has not been that popular whatsoever, and he's got a couple of nerfs as well, and then he's got a couple of buffs and then nerfs again, so I'm truly not sure where to put him. I'd say he is definitely below average at the moment.
I would say so too, especially considering that the new item changes Fantas didn't benefit him that much, and the new ward change kind of means that his highs has a little bit less value than before, right? He's got a, like...
100%.
Everyone has to... So maybe B back to B tier?
I'd say so, yes.
Yeah.
Around B.
Alright, tell me about Apwash.
Again, in a team play, he could be doing a lot of work because you need a lot of peel, but ranked wise and casual wise, he may struggle because it's very easy to go ahead, walk up to him and kill him. It's the same sort of thing with Zeus. So I'd say he's just balanced at the moment. I wouldn't put him below average, but just balanced.
All right.
Next to Agni.
Yep. Amaterasu had some buffs not too long ago. I would say she's one of those gods where multiple builds really work. Going into the new season, Mystical Male is something that is, again, not super strong on her, but also not super terrible. I don't entirely know how to feel about her. I would say she is around the mid-range, though. What do you think?
As long as she can power through the early game, which I'm pretty sure most characters should be doing that, especially in the soul lane, I'd probably put her somewhere in A+, because her team fight potential is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I think so too. I think she's in a good place next to Achilles, basically. And that brings us to Anhur. Anhur is tough. I mean, Anhur, I think, is one of those gods that might come back if we see a lot of early aggression in duo, but we don't really know how duo's gonna develop. It's the question
He
here.
was truly popular last year, especially in the mid lane, and then like as it was coming closer and closer to Worlds, he kind of faded away, especially from the mid lane. Then he was picked in the ADC role, but he was very much in and out of the meta. So normally I would put him in A because I think he's really balanced, a really good Anhur player, can actually utilize him really well, but otherwise he's just really strong.
What do you
really
think
balanced,
with the mage item changes? Do you think there's any potential to have hunters in middle at the moment, or do you think the changes will make it a complete?
I'd say so, yes, because normally if you pick a hunter in the mid lane, you do gain pressure. And the pressure is going to be very valuable, especially with the little new mids that they've added. I don't really exactly know how they are called, but they're not super tanky. So if you do get the pressure in the mid lane, you can invade the mids. Then you can just jump over the wall to your mids, get your mids as well. And over time, that is going to stack up, and you can get very far ahead very easily.
So based on that, would you still say around A or slightly higher?
I'd say either A or A+, but if you do put him in A+, you gotta think that there are other characters that you do need to move them up as well. Probably A.
Alright, we put him A. Anubis. Interesting because of some item changes. Lifesteal items and Spear of the Magus change. He might be one of the few gods where it might actually be stronger than before. Some people have said. I haven't tested it yet. How do you feel about him?
Oh, I actually have the opposite opinion there.
All right.
Oh, that's gonna be awkward.
That's fine. Like I said, I haven't tested it myself. I haven't calculated. It's just what I've been told.
Yeah, I have a feel for it because I got the feel for it. I haven't calculated everything, but I did play him a fair bit on PTS. And the Spear of the Magus, I'd say Spear of the Magus is only worth it on him, but even on him, it feels a little bit underwhelming. As in for the mage item changes, sometimes if you go in a different path, you do limit yourself to buying at least three pen items to at the very least get the full amount of value from the items, because there is the coin and the obsidian shard. So that's the only two items that you can buy, so you can get the full value from the penetration. Otherwise, if you go for typhoons, you need three. So again, he's still a sitting duck, probably B+, if I'm being honest. I'd put him under
we don't have B+, so we're gonna say B.
or yeah, A-.
A-, yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know whatever is in there, A- or B+.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to put him in A- then. Wukong. I guess the jungle changes might be somewhat beneficial because there's a bit more farm to be had, and Wukong is one of those relatively farm-dependent gods. At the same time, the item changes don't necessarily favor him, like some might, but I don't see significantly higher potential than before.
I think Ring of Hecate, I think it's called. That's a new item that he could be using and could benefit him quite a fair bit. The problem with Wukong is normally when he comes in the meta, he comes in really strong, especially ranked-wise and casual-wise. So I really don't know how to feel about the character. I mean, he could be very much balanced in A, but he could also be like over the balance side. So let's say maybe A+, but that is completely up to the player that is going to be playing the character, really.
Right. Yeah, Hecate has some benefits for him, right? Because as a jungler, it helps more when you heal from guards anyways. Whereas in laning, I find the ring a little bit underwhelming compared to the price. We just put him in A for now, and then we'll see. We keep this as could easily move up or down, bit of a question mark. Aphrodite. Did anything change?
Very difficult to talk about her. I'd just chuck her in B. And the only reason I would be doing that is because she's not really going to bring too much in the mid lane. She's not going to bring too much in the soul lane. She's very easy abusable in the soul lane. As support, she's going to be underwhelming. So she is not that incredible. She definitely needs a team comp around her.
I think with it, we have the new healer item, which could kind of allow, for example, a tank to build the healing amplifier for her instead of her going into Asclepius, and that could help, I guess, but it's so minor, and I think overall it doesn't really change much for her. Apollo. Apollo is interesting because Apollo is one of the few gods that was using Silver Branch Bow before already, and Silver Branch Bow got a buff, which could affect him. And at the same time, he's got all this attack speed share anyways, which I think works decently with crit. So I think Apollo is in a bit of a better place than before.
It's also the fact that the Rage did get the buff, which is 2,300 now, and you can get up to, what, 45% crit? Yeah, 45% crit, exactly. Which is absolutely incredible. However, every single hunter could benefit from that. But for Apollo...
True, but I think Apollo, as a god that doesn't need to build into as much attack speed, you know, is more of a primary choice for that. I think...
Potentially
he can lane well anyways. Potentially what?
I'd say potentially an A+, because you could be putting him in the mid lane and he has the global ultimate, and then you can put him in the ADC role as well. And again, if you do use the global ultimate, you could be coming in and out of the team fights at any point and also have the potential to split push. Yep.
All right, A+ it is. Arachne. I don't think all too much has changed for her, to be honest.
Very underwhelming. She was very underwhelming towards the last season, the end of last season at the very least. At the beginning of this season, I don't really expect her to do too well either, I'd say.
Actually, come to think of it, I think she's going to do worse than last season because the jungle has less gank opportunities around middle lane. It's just harder to gank there. Everyone has more wards, and she's such a snowball character, along with the changed jungle clear as well. Yeah, I don't think there's much for her. I don't know, B? C? No,
yeah, I'd say B. Just put her alongside Aphrodite as well.
Yeah. Okay, Ares, I have no idea.
That's a little bit of a tricky one because Ares, I mean, he was played in the jungle, then he was played a fair bit in the support, but just in certain team comps to counter certain characters. Then he kind of just was gone completely of the meta because there were characters such as Circuit, which is kind of weird because you have Circuit in the enemy team, you expect Ares to be picked, but he wasn't. I'd probably put him in A- maybe because he's a very tough character to play, and you do well if you do really well. You do well if you're playing the character super duper well, but you also need a team comp for it.
Yep. Artemis has gotten a few changes that definitely benefit her. I think she got a direct buff as well to the scaling of her 3 for the clear. 20% extra scaling, which is nice. And then along that you have the, again, Silver Branch Bow and the crit buffs, Rage specifically, but also Poison Star and Wind Demon. So there's a lot of things that have improved for her in terms of the situation, but does it change much for her?
The trouble is, it depends how the whole lane is going to be played out, especially how fast you can power through the early game. I don't see her being played in the mid lane, because in the mid lane is going to be too much fighting and too much pressure for her to be played. But now it depends on like how much pressure is going to be picked in the dual lane, because if there is going to be pressure in the dual lane, is going to feel very underwhelming. If there is not going to be too much pressure in the dual lane and both ADCs will be going for a farm fest, then she's going to be a little bit more impactful because she's going to be getting through the early game without a problem. But for now, again, she's a very situational character. It depends on the team comp as well. And because I said the same thing about Ares, I'd probably just put her in A-.
Yep, I agree with that. Next, we have Artio. Artio, I think, is an interesting guard here because she gets a few changes that impact her positively, but also a few where it's a bit of a question mark still. There's the new helmet that buffs up minions, which I think helps her solo potential. Mystical Mail is something you can use on her as well. But at the same time, with all the changes of solo lane being reverted, I don't see her being too much of a solo laner, and I also don't see her too much as a support at the moment, because, well, I guess she's got a bit of early game bully potential, but I guess I'm just biased against Artio support in general.
Yeah, I think in the early game she could be doing fairly well, but then as soon as you hit like the charts of like mid game to potential late game, depending on the character that you do play against, you become like less and less effective. So I truly have no idea where to put her, because,
and I would say that overall we still, go on.
No, sorry, you go.
I think that we're still heading towards more of a late game than early game meta, at least looking at the farm potential that is there at the moment. And, well, I don't know how much you can do with early pressure in Duo right now, right?
the best case scenario, you could be invading purple and you could be getting a little bit of a snowball there, but it depends if that is going to be effective or not. I'd probably put her just in A because she is all in all balanced, because you could be doing something early game, but then she falls off later on in the game. So all in all, you do gain something but lose something later.
Yep. Okay. Athena. I have not much of an opinion on her.
I'm biased towards Athena because I think she's a really strong character. You could be playing her in the soul lane, in the jungle. You can play her as a support as well. But maybe she is not at the top of the charts at the moment. But I would at the very least put her in A+ because I think she's really strong.
Oh, okay. Oh wow. All right. I'll roll with it. I'm surprised. I would have expected her a bit lower, but we'll take it. Next card is not going to be A+. A Willish.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I don't think she has much going. Like, any change that happened with the upcoming season is not in her favor. Hydra's nerfed, which has always been basically core on her almost. Yeah, early game hyper aggression doesn't work for her as well as before. Everyone has wards. Yeah.
Incredibly situational. Depending on the team comps, you want to pick her into either people that have jumps or you need in your team comp knockbacks. So again, it's a very situational character. The same thing I said about like Ares as well, and Artemis, if I'm not mistaken. So probably in A-, I'd put her unless you want to go lower than that. Would you say she's more?
Would you say she's more on the level of Artemis and Ares, or is she more on the level of Arachne?
More Ares and Artemis, because the reason I'm saying that is because you can still make her work if you pick her in the right team comp. Meanwhile, Arachne does just not bring anything to the table at the moment, apart from like maybe early game aggression, but not even that.
Yeah. I mean, she's still gonna statistically do well probably, but that's another story. Bacchus. Primarily looking at support here, I think the changes that are happening don't necessarily benefit Bacchus, who, well, with the exception maybe of the changes to Voidstone, because generally he's one of those supports where you want to have a little bit more aggression, and I think most of the aura item changes are more towards defense right now.
I'm trying to find something to say about Bacchus, but the problem is about Bacchus that I don't have much. He's a great character to combo with, but as seen for the early game, I don't know much about him. I don't think his early game is that great as a character, so you're not really looking to like pressure insanely in the dual lane if you do pick him. You can't really pick him anywhere else either. He could be very situational. I wouldn't really put him in B, but I wouldn't really make him balance either. So I'd probably put him in a situational
A-.
Yeah, an A-.
Somebody's gonna misquote you on that and be like, "You're saying Bacchus has no pressure? What's going on here?"
yeah, probably.
Bakasura. I think Bakasura could potentially come back a little bit because of the added farm to the jungle. At the same time, he does not have the best time clearing 3 minions compared to some other gods. Like, it's okay, but it could be better. And I don't really believe that he will be boosted by the meta shift to the same degree as like more item dependent gods, because say for example, looking at Bakasura and Kali in comparison, I think the new meta favors Kali more than it does Bakasura in terms of who benefits more from the changes.
Oh, 100%. I think Bakasura's peak is pretty much in the mid game, and considering that everybody gets so much farm and you have the hog to reach the mid game a little bit quicker, the mid game window is a lot smaller now. So you get from early game to mid game, you have a very small window in the mid game, and then all of a sudden it's late game because everybody gets their items online so quickly. So I think Bakasura actually is going to be a little bit worse this time. So honestly, I would just say he is a bit on the trashy side. I'd put him maybe C, maybe D. I don't know.
Oh, that hurts my heart.
He's definitely not that high on my list. I'd definitely put him below AMC, if anything.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go with it. I would have put him around B, but I can see a point. If he ends up being better, I'm happy.
I mean, you can put a question mark on him. I just again, I think that like what he picks, it's such a small window for him to make it work that is gonna be very, very difficult to get it going.
Okay. Then next we have Baron Sundy. How do you feel about Baron Sundy after the buff that he got now for middle lane?
Yeah, he's got 20 damage on the 1 early game, which is fantastic. It helps him clear a lot more. You still max the 2 anyways, because the 2 gives you the range and gives you the movement speed, the heal as well. It's absolutely fantastic ability to use. The ultimate is still, mind you, is a sitting dog, but it's a little bit better than some characters out there like Scylla or anything like that. All in all, his 1 is really underrated because it takes away 30% of your power, and not only that, it's also attack speed reduction, which is up to 30% as well. It could be doing really well into hunters, especially if hunters are going to come back into the meta. However, I put him on the balance side because I don't have too much information on him, especially because not many people are playing him in the mid lane. So I just put him alongside Agni or Upwash or any of those gods.
Yep.
So in A.
All right. Bastet had some big changes this season. She had a complete overhaul, basically. She did get some nerfs on PTS that were then partially reverted again. So now they lowered the damage on her ultimate a little bit, but the abilities are back to the original damage. I would say that makes... I haven't actually played it on the last version of PTS, but I would say that makes her sound pretty strong overall still, because on the first iteration she was very strong, and she didn't lose that much damage after all now after reverts. What was your experience?
Yeah, I've experienced getting pretty much one-shotted on the backline most of the time, even by Bastet being behind. As soon as she pops her ultimate, if you don't have your Aegis up, and she needs to hit 2 abilities to like eliminate one of the carries. So she's a bit broken. I have nothing to say. She's a bit broken. Like after so many changes, she's still up the top, and if she gets going and she starts snowballing, she's just going to keep on killing everybody over and over again, because right now she's actually got a really good late game as well. So I'd probably put her in SS. Might be the first character to put in SS at the moment.
All right. I'm gonna veto that one. I want to put her in S+. I think she's very strong, but I think she's not quite SS.
That's fair enough.
I think she's still got... there's still some potential to counter, and SS would really be like... she wins every game. I think mainly the fact that if you have anyone with a cripple, that still shuts her down hard, and always will. I mean, it is a leap card, so it's pretty obvious. But also, I've experienced some situations where you would think she would have a lot of impact, but then she doesn't have her cooldowns up perfectly in that situation, and that makes her struggle a lot, because without that, she's basically old Bastet minus the cats at that point. So I think she has some weak points, but she's definitely very strong. Bellona.
I agree with that. Okay.
Bellona is interesting, actually, come to think of it, because Mystical Male was a staple on Bellona once upon a time. And Mystical Male is a lot cheaper now, a lot more accessible. So that might actually affect her possibly more than the other solo lane changes. I don't know, Glad Shield was never really her big thing anyways.
But will it affect her enough to fall in the same category as Achilles and Amy?
Probably
That's
not.
The question.
I'd say she's a little bit below them still. I would say she's around A-ish, somewhere in the lower A spectrum.
I'm definitely below. I'm definitely in between the A+ and A at the moment with her. But then again, I don't really have too much experience with her either, because I just don't have the knowledge to actually put her anywhere, but in between those two categories.
Let's put her in A for now, and if she ends up being better, she ends up being better.
I gotcha.
Simple enough. All right, Cabrakan. Sad story. So last season was depressing, and I don't really see much that would have changed for him that significantly changes his impact compared to before.
I mean, he's received not a decent amount, but a little bit of competitive play. However, he hasn't been the top dog at any point, I don't think. And I don't know. I don't know if I put him to be situational either.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know where to, like, where do you play him? Like, as a jungler, he's super situational, and I don't think the current jungle meta would favor him. As support, he's always been kind of weird to play. And as a solo laner, I guess a new item would help him as a solo laner, but I don't really know if that's enough to bring him back into solo. Like, what do you think is his role, if any?
I'd definitely keep him as a jungler, if anything, because as a jungler, it feels a little bit better than as a support, but again, it just depends on the team comps. If you're picking him into, let's say, characters that have very low mobility, he could be doing really well, but then again, you have Ching 10, so he is kind of a worse version of Ching 10 for the support role.
Yeah. Is he like
I'd say somewhere
level, or we say it's got a bit of a
If we're being super generous, I'd say you put him in A, otherwise probably A-.
A-, oh, that's higher than I thought. I would have thought more around B, C level. Okay. What do you think he has like above the B tier gods, above Arachne, looking at the jungler here?
Purely the burst.
Okay.
You come in, you wall someone off, and then you're just going to hit them for potentially up to 1,000 damage mid-game once you're going to be doing a full rotation of abilities.
Okay. I mean, on the other hand, I also have to see how he feels with the change items anyways. He's also one of those guys that might work with Void Shield quite well now in late game. Oh, okay, we'll see. Camazotz, massive buffs to his sustain primarily. Actually, there were so many buffs to him, I actually can't even remember them all from the top of my head.
The leap one was one of them.
All right, but it was already the patch before. That's why I can't.
Yeah, that was the patch before, and then I can't exactly remember off the top of my head what they did. I know he got a buff as well afterwards.
Yeah, that was the one. Was that not the same patch? Was that the patch where he got?
Gotta be, right?
Yeah, where he got like massive passive increases, like to like up to 20% healing lifesteal. And now you can combine that with the new healing increase item, with the Caduceus Shield, which increases your healing further and gives you a good amount of power and defense as well. So I think he's really good in solo. I think FineOK talked about him as one of the primary solo laners at the moment as well. Because he's just, very, very sustain heavy now. Very, like, he basically has a very hard time losing lane at all.
Oh, 100%, especially that he's got the safetiness, he's got the heals as well. He can invade you at any point in time, especially because he's going to have the pressure. And if you pair him with the jungler that is going to be aggressive, you can just bully the enemy soul lane at any point in time. So probably you would be putting him quite high up. Despite the fact he doesn't have the CC necessary, like all he has is like probably one slow and that's about it. But yeah, the character overall is really, really strong looking from the soul lane perspective.
I would say around S at least. Yeah. Slightly.
Somewhat in there, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah, like below the stat, but above Achilles, I think that's a good place. Cerberus. I have not seen all too much of him, can't really say.
I think he's got a little bit of a buff. However, even after the buff, he hasn't received any play whatsoever. Very situational character. There are characters that can do his job a little bit better, so he feels very slow. The same situation is for Bacchus as well and Ares, so I probably am going to be putting him exactly in the same spot as those two characters and just keep him in A-.
I want to make a little bit of a counterpoint, and that is that he has a bit more pressure with his shred, especially with his 2, with his clear, in terms of early game aggression. If that becomes a big thing, I think that will give him a lot more potential. So I would say more.
100%.
More around A, just based on the potential that he may have if that becomes a thing.
Yeah. Okay. I can get my head around that.
Kununos. Wait, Kununos got changes not too long ago. Did he get something else now? I'm actually not sure.
I don't think so. I don't remember about him getting any buffs.
Maybe I'm misremembering, but either way, he doesn't benefit from the crit changes more than anyone else or something. He wasn't doing particularly hot before.
He was picked in mid lane here and there, but he wasn't a top character ever. He was sort of like Anhur, especially in the mid lane. In the ADC, I don't know how much play he has received whatsoever, because I haven't seen him in the dual lane too much. But yeah, from a mid lane perspective, I would definitely just put him around A.
Okay. I would say from an ADC perspective, he's probably a bit below Anher at the moment and more around Artemis level. He does have an escape, which helps, but Artemis has, through the item changes, will have a significantly stronger late game than he will. So between mid and duo, I would say he's more an A- overall.
Yeah, that's fair.
Chuck.
I got nothing to say about him.
Sitting duck. What is... okay, Chuck's also not got any changes or anything. Chuck's there, but he doesn't really do much. I think this meta with the new item, he's gonna get some more healing. That's maybe a little bit of a benefit. If the item, the solo lane changes went through, if the blue buff change and the totem change actually went onto life, that would have been a massive change for Chuck. Chuck would have been great because he doesn't rely on mana as much because he can just use his passive. But they didn't. They all got reverted. So Chuck's back to where he was, and I guess that's around B, maybe?
I'd say next to Arachne 100%.
Yeah. Chang'e. Chang'e, I think I played it a little bit. She actually feels interesting. There were some item changes that I thought made her feel a lot better as a jungler. Which she isn't necessarily the most popular jungler, of course, but I thought it made her a lot more interesting. I'm trying to remember what the changes were. Do you have any perspective from mid lane or maybe in regards to solo
from a
as
mid
well?
lane perspective, if someone is going to be buying the healing item at the very least as a physical to help you out, that's going to be brilliant. Otherwise, like the problem with Chang'e is that you need to be close range at all times, and as a mid laner, you never really want to be close range because it's very easy for you to be punished. So it's the same sort of thing is for Gubis. However, Gubis has a little bit more range than her, but if I were to put her from mid lane perspective, I just put her in A- because I think there are other characters that could be doing a tiny bit better than her, especially in the mid lane.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay, I remember what the strat was. The strat was that you can also start with the tier 2 rod, but that doesn't really matter for jungle either. So yeah, A-.
Oh yeah, it's the 60 power, 1,400 gold.
Yeah, but it doesn't. I don't think it makes that much of a difference because you're unlikely to run Chang'e mid anyways. I think Chang'e is honestly more of a solo laner or jungler, and in jungle you can't run it, at least because in jungle you need Assassin's Blessing still.
Oh yeah, 100%.
On the other hand, you can get it very quickly by sending your rabbit out. You can start with the tier 1 and then just get the rabbit super early, but it's something, worth looking at, but not decided enough to say that it's a change now, so I'd say A- for now. Chernobog. Definitely one of the hunters that can make work with the new item changes, given that he's got the attack speed buff in his... Oh, is it his 2? Yeah, it's his 2. And,
yeah, it is.
I think the global ult will also be nice in that regard. If you can get like early rotations with the ultimate to stack your rage, that would be super nasty, and then you can just dominate your lane. I think he's good in that regard, but outside of that, he's one of those iffy characters that really swings up very high, like high up and very low down in the meta, depending
100%.
on the environment. So I find it very hard to play. Similar to our Kwang, where I don't really know where he will go.
The biggest thing with Chernobog is the fact that he's received competitive play. Like, he's received competitive play in the ADC role, and he's received competitive play in the mid lane, especially in the mid lane when the mages were very popular in the dual lane. But if Apollo is going to be coming back, and if he's going to be coming back in the dual lane, and he's going to be having a global ultimate, as Apollo do have one, Chernobog could be coming back as well. Because you're going to have 2 global ultimates, you can just abuse the global ultimates whenever you can.
Yep.
So I wouldn't say Chernobog is a better version of Apollo, or Apollo being a better version of Chernobog, because both of them are kind of falling in the same place in this meta. So I'd probably just put both of them next to each other.
Yep, sounds good. Chiron. Chiron did not benefit as much from the changes, being more of an ability-based hunter. I don't think they actually got many changes to them overall. I don't, like, as an ADC, I don't see too much of a place for him at the moment. What do you think about him as a mid laner?
As a mid laner, he feels very nice when you do pick him in those type of team comps that they are very heavily CC'd. Like, when they have an insane amount of CC, you do have the cleanse at all times, and you can help yourself. The range is really nice as well. The pressure from Chiron is, like, a little bit underwhelming, because he doesn't have too much pressure as a mid laner, so you're not going to invade 24/7, and you don't have a leap for that matter. So again, you can't really invade and then jump over the wall or anything like that. But he could be good into a very heavily CC type of team comps. So I don't know if I want to put him in A. I kind of want to, but I feel like that's very generous.
Maybe A-, considering his status as ADC. Like A- is, I think, is fair. Kronos. Hard to say, I think, because of the item changes. The ADC, like the ring you mentioned already, which could benefit him, but then might also not be best in slot. What do you think?
He is a very tricky one because the information that we have on him is very limited, and the changes are so new that it's very hard to say what exactly is going to happen. Like I've had some games where Kronos truly popped off, and I had some games where Kronos felt really, really terrible. So I want to say right now, I just chuck him in A and then see how everything is going to be, maybe like after 2 or 3 months, and see what he's going to be falling into place.
Interesting note for Kronos, for anyone who wants to play him. He could have some very interesting strategies. I know there used to be a time where Warlock Staff was built on him, and that item got a massive overhaul. And for example, if you have Warlock Staff and Demonic Grip on him now, you would have a very high amount of accessible percentage penetration or reduction very quickly. So that's something worth keeping in mind. Kukulin is crazy right now.
He did get the buff.
Such a massive buff.
Yeah, it's definitely a very, very big buff. And when you deal with the Kukulin, it's never a pleasant, I guess a pleasant experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Just for anyone who's not on the on the know of Kukulin, he got his Berserk power level, like the passive power increase when he goes Berserk, and his ultimate went from giving 16 rage to 26. So if you hit 2 targets, you have 52 rage, which is like, yeah, it's a lot.
Absolutely unbelievable.
And then you have other items that, for example, Mystical Mail is also a fantastic item for him. So you have so many options as well. Honestly, I think he's one of the strongest guards right now. I don't know if he's more Camazotz level or Bastet level, but somewhere there, I would say.
I don't know if you want to... See, the trouble is that like we already put Amy and Achilles in A+, if I'm not mistaken. So right now it's going to be... I don't know if I want to put it on the same spot. I'd probably put him 1 up, because I feel like Kukulin is going to be doing really, really well at the moment. Yeah.
I mean, I think, so, I think very, very close to Camazotz in terms of, like the best solos around here. Yeah. Cupid.
Especially that like he can counter the Camazotz, because Zotz is sustaining really well. Kukulin has healing reduction on his 1, so they kind of counter each other to a certain extent.
Yeah. Okay, Cupid. I have nothing. I've played with a Cupid in one of the games, but he gets a bit of attack speed. He might be a little bit better, but then again, I don't know how much crit you can build on Cupid. Well, you can build crit if you do want to. Most of the time, people tend to like go for the penetration. We might see a pen build plus the rage, because rage is so cost effective now that you might see it a lot more often. Yeah. In terms of clear early game, his clear is not that brilliant, so it's going to be very difficult for him to clear. In terms of, again, of having a jump or anything like that, having pressure, that's not really the case with Cupid. So as a mid lane, it could be maybe next to Chiron, I'd say. Yeah,
if anything.
Daji. I've had an unpleasant experience with Daji on the PTS, I gotta say that, but I would say overall, most of the changes aren't really for her. What's interesting is that Malice got changed, and you could technically implement Malice into a Daji build now, which could potentially hurt a lot if you get that, like, with a bit of other CDR items, you could have like a crit with your 1, and then the 1 almost instantly resets almost. Which could make a really interesting burst combo, but it's something that's very theoretical and not really tested yet. So outside of that, there's some more walls that give her nice opportunities to pull someone. If you catch the enemy mid laner at the new Harpy camp and you just pull them over to yours, they're done for. So I think she gets like a benefit here and there.
I think like many times you're going to be having mid laners that they're not going to be having CC immunity to ultimates and such. So Daji is going to have an easy time just like trying to go in the mid lane, going into the mid laner, force his beads or her beads, and then just pull them and kill them. So, but she can also have a bad time depending on like how many characters will be having CC immunity or will be buying bubbles. However, I'd probably put her in the balance side because like in casuals and ranked, I think she's doing fairly well anyways.
Yep.
Unless again you're going to be having like a really unfortunate team comp against you.
Yep, sounds good. Okay, I think we have to speed it up a little bit looking at the list and time.
Oh, I got you. Okay, then.
We should just quickly say where we think a god is placed, and then when we think something is a bit more controversial, then we'll go into more detail.
All right.
Discordia, give me a letter.
B+. Or B+, what am I saying? A- because we don't have B+, don't we?
Yep, sounds good. I take that. Erlang Shen. I would say not the greatest right now. Thinking around A- ish.
I'd definitely put him in A, if anything.
Yep. Okay.
He might be a little bit worse than last season, but he's still a fairly balanced character, all in all.
Yep. Fafnir.
Fafnir should be balanced,
Yep.
like banged on balanced.
Yep. I'll take that. Fenrir has got some changes not too long ago. I think the new meta is not really gonna favor him.
No, especially that it's not going to be too much. If it's going to be like a full-on aggression meta where you can pick him as support, then that's great. But otherwise, probably it's going to be like maybe in I don't know, A-, maybe B. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do we give him A-? I think he's not really much. No, I'd say B. Potential to go up. Potential to go up. Freya, very weird because she she got a preemptive nerf. Also has new items. Also changed speed of the magus and stuff. Very hard to say.
I've seen many Freya players going with 3 items and absolutely whooping everybody. So I'll probably put her in A+ and then see where she's going to be moving from that point onward.
Yep, sounds good. Ganesh.
Probably balanced. I mean, I want to say situational, but it's probably balanced, realistically speaking.
Yeah, if we get early game pressure going, he's not bad at that either. His clear is pretty good in early game, so that can help.
Yeah.
Geb. Probably, if we go into a huge team
definitely above balance. I'd say maybe an A+, unless you want to push him further.
No, I think A+ is reasonable. I think, if we go into a huge team fight meta, basically, then he's definitely going to have more of a place. We'll see how much we depend on early pressure and do, but even that he can counter very well. Guan Yu, very interesting in my opinion, because he's got a lot of changes himself, especially for his clear, also for playing him in jungle. And he's also got the helmet that he's like the first character that you think of when you see that thing. The healing, the shield, sorry, could use a shield.
Yeah.
I think
I'd probably throw him in A and then like put a question mark on him and see what exactly you're going to be moving him from that point on, because he doesn't necessarily need to be in A. Probably he's going to be higher, but we can just keep him there for now.
Should we put him at A+ as a prediction, as a hopeful prediction?
Yeah, I can do. Why not?
I want him to be better. If he ends up in A, I'm going to be sad, but I'm going to accept it.
That's fair enough.
Hachiman, I would say not bad with the changes at least.
Definitely his ultimate is helping him get in and out of the team fight, aggress and so on. He does have the range as well. He probably does have a little bit of an advantage, especially in the ADC role over the other hunters that we put in A. So I'd probably put him in A+.
Yep, I'm down for that. Hades got a little bit of a buff, gets a percentage reduction, a damage reduction on his ultimate along with the protection now, but does it really change him?
I'd say he's situational, to not say that he is bad anymore, because normally I used to say that he's bad, so I'd just put him situational A- and just probably move forward.
Yeah, I can see that. Habois could be interesting as a jungler. I don't know how about him as a mid laner. Tell me about him as a mid laner.
He's been playing the mid lane, he's been playing the jungle competitive wise as well, and ranked wise is pretty much the same thing goes. I mean, more so on the jungle side. However, you do have Hog nowadays as well, so your clear is going to be a little bit quicker, especially early game for everybody for that matter. So you're going to be reaching the mid game a little bit quicker, which means that Habois or Hebo is going to be doing a little bit better. Probably I'll put him in balanced side. I mean, yeah, just in the balanced category, because if you're going to feed your brains out, you're going to have a hard time. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But you can reach the mid game a little bit earlier.
But the vision, the ward's held there as well. If you have the vision in the early game and know when you're getting invaded, that's huge for Hotwire specifically.
Oh, 100%.
Heimdall. I think we should talk about that one a little longer because he got nerfs, right? He's gotten a lot of changes.
He did.
The item changes that we see coming into the season are not exactly for Heimdall. He's not like a big crit god, I would say. Like, sure, you can run crit, but you can also run ability based, and I think most people.
I think his crit is implemented in his auto attacks already. I think you can build penetration, and it feels like a crit anyways.
True. I would still say he's a strong character, but I can't exactly say how strong.
So I mean, as far as my understanding goes, because I played him an insane amount in PTS, they did nerf the one. They did nerf the ultimate as well.
And the passive, right?
In terms of like the ultimate, is still does really well. Does an insane amount of damage to begin with, especially if you do the auto attack cancels correctly with him. You can choose where the target is going to land as well, especially upon hitting the target. You can turn your camera around and such, so that is huge. You can take people out of the team fight as well, or let's say you have a team fight, you ult the support, you ult him over the wall, he's going to have a hard time to actually get into the team fight. You have a 4v5, you can win it at any point. The third ability, which is I'm forgetting the name of the ability right now, unfortunately, but it's the TP. Yeah, Bifrost, there you go. Again, you don't... I know many people are using it, and I'm guilty for doing the same thing. Use it from the base to TP to lane, but if you use it properly and you use it like a normal dash, you should never be in trouble. If you do position it as you walk around the map, that is pretty much the best escape in the game, in my eyes at the moment. His second ability is absolutely insane. Every single time you think about buying anti-healing, you're like, maybe I should be going for Toxic Blade, but in reality, you can buy Brawlers and literally hit 5 people because the 2 is so big.
Yeah.
And his first ability, the range of it is absolutely insane. It's still a very good clear ability. So to me, at the very least, as a mid laner, and you can jump over the wall, you have the pressure, you have the team fight potential. I just put him in SS at any point in time.
All right. Okay. I'm going to put him in SS. I'm going to make that your call. I would have thought more like Bastet levels. I would have thought S+. But we have to have someone up there, right?
Yeah, true that.
Hell is someone I briefly want to talk about because I had some experience with her on PTS. Tier 2 Rod Start is fantastic on Hell in my opinion because she gets a ridiculous amount of MP5 and power, which means her clear is high, she can swap stances often enough and use all her abilities without going out of mana too quickly. And I think that makes Hell as a mid laner a lot more interesting than before.
I definitely agree with that. I played her in the mid lane as well, and she felt really smooth, especially with the changes nowadays and the power curve. The power curve feels really good. You do get your cooldown reduction really early. As in for where to place her, I'm not exactly sure. I probably put her somewhere either in A or A+. The only downside is literally Upwash. Every single time I look at Upwash, I'm like, he's a walking divine ruin. So it's really difficult to think about this one.
Let's put her in A+ on the grounds that you can have a teammate build the helmets as well, and if she doesn't perform as well, then put it onto A. Hera. Does she do much? I don't know.
She's in a very weird spot at the moment because like her early game is not necessarily the greatest. However, again, the Chronos Pendant start or the tier 2 Chronos Pendant does help her a little bit, so she can get her cooldown reduction really early on. So that means she can actually use the Argus a lot. A really nice little touch is actually the Tyrannical Plate Helm. Yeah, Tyrannical Plate Helm, I think it's called. The new item, either way. Yeah. It actually does give Argus attack speed, so you can actually have Argus on steroids if you really want to do that. It's a fun little interaction. I don't know how good it actually is, but it's a fun little interaction in there. However, I'd probably put her in A. I think she's just balanced at the moment.
Hercules has been very dominant last season. I don't quite see the Herc invade every game meta continuing at this point.
I agree with that. I don't see the Circuit Herc running the metas and being very annoying and sitting on your jungler basically. But I'd probably still put him around maybe A because you make him from like a really broken character, like pretty much banged on balanced.
Horus. Probably a different placement in competitive, but I would say in in ranked casual, he's probably just balanced.
Yeah, I'd say if we are talking about competitive, I'd put Hori somewhere probably in S something, somewhere in there. But again, in ranked, I don't know. Maybe high ranked, you put him again somewhere in A+, maybe S,
No, just
minus or whatever
A+.
it is. But yeah.
A+.
Do it A+.
Ho Yi. Interesting because he has the anti-crit passive. That might actually be useful now. For the first time in a long time.
Very true. But he's still a very lucky bouncer.
Yep. That's the thing. Like his core kit.
Probably. To me, he's an A character. Now it depends on you, Duke.
Yeah, no, I'm done with that. That's where I put him to. Hunbatz. Hunbatz, I think, is interesting. Like I said, you get a lot of gold farm in the jungle. That is definitely nice for Hunbatz. He is always more of a competitive god, but I think even in like in ranked and well, in casual too, he's been doing more this season than when he was struggling before.
100%. I think he's been doing more than all his season that he's had in the SMITE history, actually. Especially that his clear is so good now. So if you do go for like a jungle clear type of playstyle, you can just go ahead and use your third ability and clear the buffs at any point in time. And I'm pretty sure most junglers do buy cooldown reduction, so you should have your third ability up all the time. So your farm efficiency is going to be very high. As in to where to put him, I'd put him somewhere in S.
Yeah.
But now, because he does have a big team fight ability, he does have the farm there, he has blink so we can engage, he has the jump so we can get out of the team fight, he has all those little things. The only thing he doesn't have is a CC immune to ultimate or anything like that, but you have beats for that.
Yep. The goddess of demonetization. Still good?
Good in the right hands, otherwise not so brilliant, especially that you can, again, pick hunters in the mid lane. Her clear did get downed a little bit. I just put her, I'd put her in A, despite the fact that she was incredibly strong last season.
Izanami got massive buffs. I've heard a lot of people say that she feels insanely strong now. I haven't played her. I'm not going to play hunters on PTS more than I have to.
Level 1 clear, nuts. Straight up. Absolutely. I didn't think that she's going to be that strong, especially with her little buffs. I was like, I mean, she's not going to be that big of a deal. She comes back. I mean, she comes to the lane. She literally hits about like 2-3 auto attacks. The lane is fully cleared. So, yeah, I probably put her in A+ just because of like the pressure that she can actually bring. Now, I'm not sure if the pressure is going to be very valuable or not, but it's still there, and you can utilize it however you want to utilize it.
I actually want to put. I'm going to put her in A+, but I want to put her at the start of A+, because I think she's like one of the better A+ gods. Janus. I don't know. Okay, Kronos Pendant is more accessible. That's nice.
Hyper Farmer is great, but the same thing is going to apply in casuals and ranked as it applies in competitive. You will always have a Susanoo right around the corner, killing you at all times. And if it's not Susanoo, it's going to be any other jungler that can pretty much do the same thing. Or, well, not the same thing, but it's get you to the same point. Sin... The problem that I have with Janus, you hit his ultimates, he's brilliant. You don't hit your ultimates, you're kind of on the useless side, despite the fact that you have the farm. So I'd say it's just balance. You play a gambling god and see where it gets you.
Yep. Jingwei, got a few nerfs to her mobility. At the same time, crit is coming back, and Jingwei works very well with crit. So I think she's got some pros and cons.
I'd probably throw her in A+, because despite the fact she doesn't have survivability, she still has crits. So you can kill someone.
She just goes back to base.
Yeah, exactly.
Jormungandr, I think still one of the stronger gods right now.
Best magical soul laner? Maybe if we exclude Emoja?
Yeah. So, at least A+, I would say. But
I'd put him at least S.
At least S, yeah.
No, we're
let's put him
different. S. Because the only reason I throw him so high up is because he's the only magical soul laner that can do so well. Again, apart from Emoja, which we are going to talk about her soon.
Yeah. Kali. I think Kali has potential this season. Again, farm, jungle, gold. That's all she wants. A more passive early game is always better for Kali. The longer the game goes, the more she gets. And especially in non-competitive, I think that is
100%. I'd probably put her in A because like even in casuals and ranked, you can have like your good games and bad games. However, you do reach the mid game a little bit quicker, which means she can actually be a little bit more effective. So instead of her being like, let's say B tier or A minus or B plus or whatever you want to put it, probably like she is banged on balance at the moment.
Yeah. Capri, who? I don't know.
Next to Geb, straight up. Two of the most annoying characters in the game.
All right, put him here. King Arthur, after all those changes. Glad Shield got nerfed, so it's actually another nerf to King Arthur. A minus? What do you think?
Do I want to... I was thinking of A plus actually.
A plus. Let's meet in the middle.
The reason I was thinking of that is because like I was looking at Camazotz, and I know Camazotz does really well into King Arthur, but at the same time you do have Amy and Achilles right up in A plus. So King Arthur was always next to them, so that's why I was thinking about it.
But do you think he's still gonna? Well, I guess it doesn't really make that much of a difference for solo. And the double potting is something that he was not like. Yeah, okay. I'll put him A+. Tell me about Kukulkan.
Absolutely insane character. One of the best mid laners out there at the moment, in my opinion. He is safe. Yeah, maybe he doesn't have a dash, but he has like a lot of movement speed. If you do utilize your abilities really well and you put like 3 points in your 3 and then like you just max your 1, you can get like the most amount of damage out of him. So the clear is nice. The ability to hit your ultimate is pretty insane, especially if you have CC in your team. If you don't have CC, again, same thing as Janus. But the first ability is probably the one that is very underrated. That is your main damage. That's where the main damage is going to come from. Your first ability plus Polynomicon. So I'd throw him. If it's not S, maybe A plus. But to me, he is probably S.
Yeah, let's put him S. I'm done with that. The quicker he gets nerfed, the better for me.
Well, there you go.
Kumbhakana. Balanced?
Yeah, just balanced.
Yeah. Kuzenbo. One thing, like, I don't think much has changed for him, but one thing that has changed is Nemean getting nerfed, which means that Kuzenbo's 2 is a bit more useful than before if you want to counter crit. So that's something I want to mention. That's all I have.
Yeah. And there is Thorns as well, I suppose. So there is that. Maybe throw him in A minus because of that matter, but I don't know. Apart from that, that's it.
Could also easily go down again. Loki. Here's where we have to keep in mind that we're talking about, like, you know, ranked and casual, where people use very try-hard strats with Loki as well.
You know, I just realized, and I made a mistake, because I was thinking more so on the competitive side about Bakasura, and I put him in, like, what, C? Or whatever I did.
Yeah. You want to put him up? I'm down to put him up.
I feel bad. Yeah, just put him a little bit higher up.
Put him in the Arachne. Yeah. I think that's fair. He was a bit lonely down there. I think that's the thing with Loki, right? B is situational. And I would say, technically speaking, Loki is in many situations not a good guard, but he still has the potential to be this annoying split pusher, this annoying one-shotter. And outside of competitive environments, outside of full coordination, that still works. Even after all the nerfs and even after the Hydra's nerfs, that's still a thing.
Yeah, I'm just sad because I'm pretty sure there are so many people out there and so many casual players that find the stealth mechanic so annoying to deal with, and they don't know how to deal with it as well. And
they didn't get a free one now, they can't complain anymore.
Oh, true that, I suppose.
We put him in B, and I still think he should definitely get a rework. I think he should just be changed
100%, yeah.
But that's another story. Medusa. I don't think she is really doing, like, getting any favors with the item changes. She can work with crit. She's not terrible, but...
Yeah, she's... I don't know. She's kind of, like, just balanced to me because, like, you can play her in the mid lane, you can play her in the AD. You can fight with her in the mid lane. If you get the lead, she is absolutely nasty. But will you get the lead? That's the biggest question.
Yeah. Hey, I'm down for that. Okay, this is the special delivery for this season. I'm going to make a call here. I'm going to say Mercury is going to be one of the best junglers this season.
I agree with that. I think he will.
The farm potential on one hand and the crit changes on the other make for perfect conditions for Mercury. And I honestly think he's like bust stat levels good right now. I think if there's one god that
where do we put Bastet again? Do we put Bastet in S+?
Yeah, S+.
Yeah, probably somewhere there. The reason to me why Mercury is so good is because Mercury is starting with boots anyways, and he's clear used to be underwhelming in last season, but this season you're going to be having the hog, which means you're going to be getting boots. Like, you're probably going to have boots at the same time as the mid laners. However, you can gank the side lanes. You might not be able to gank the mid laners as well, because he's going to be having like the same sort of movement speed as you. But the side lanes will be pretty much a free kill for a Mercury. So Mercury, he's level 5, goes to the dual lane, kills the dual lane. He is going to be off a good start, and he is not going to be losing any power. In fact, he is going to put his team ahead and just keep on carrying on and on from that point onward. Because he can buy crit as well, he can have a very smooth transition from early game to mid game and then to late game.
And he's absolutely disgusting to counter now because there's no enemy, and it's like you can counter some of his attack speed. That's it.
Yeah, very true.
What do you think about Merlin?
I think he's still like pretty strong, especially that like one thing that I've noticed is the fact that you can buy the Chronos Pendant tier 2 is 1,400 gold. I didn't talk about it. It's 60 power. The 60 power is actually helping you so much. You can start with ice stance with a 2, you put an ice stance, or you put a 2 from the ice stance on the speed buff, and then you go to the mid lane, and then you use the fire stance from the mid lane, and that 2 from the fire stance should be fully clearing the wave, which means his early game is absolutely incredible. And from that point onward, because he has good level 1 clear, he can go ahead, and he might not invade because you don't really look to invade with Merlin, but what you can do, you can secure your own farm, which is the most important part of the game. Secure your own farm, you get your levels up, and essentially what Merlin did last year, he's going to do this year, but plus minus the gem and the Spear of the Magus.
Yeah.
So he's still probably next to Cuckoo, I'd put him, if anything.
Okay. Yeah. Naja could technically benefit from the crit changes, but I don't think even nearly as much as Mercury. Yeah, well, the crit items that he uses, if he uses crit in the first place, are one thing. And then on the other hand, you have Naja support, of course, where I also don't really see major benefits from compared to before.
I've seen a fair bit of Naja solo. Now, I'm not sure how good Naja solo is, but you could be putting her in 3 different roles, and that for that matter, I might be putting, well, him, technically, in A+.
Yeah, okay. Done with that. Neath. Just
strong mid laner, actually, but at the same time, very balanced. Like, she does have her ups and downs in the mid lane, but again, because she has so many downs rather than ups, I'd probably put her in A.
Nemesis. Nemesis got a buff. I have to look that up because I already forgot because it felt so relevant.
It was a buff on her 1. I think it's like about 10 more damage on the 1 or something like that.
10% scaling in total between both dashes, which is like nothing.
It's not really insane. Yeah, I think she's pretty much in the same spot as she was before, especially that like the meta is not really favorizing her too much. So
well,
if you want to put
that might be better, right? That might be better because again, she has Reflect, which could be more useful.
Okay,
and she gets a bit more gold farm, which is very nice for Nemesis if she gets her items. So it's a little bit, but it's very, very small changes.
Is it enough to put her in A?
No, I don't think so.
I'd keep her in the situational side, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, like A- or B-ish.
I'd say somewhat in between. Let's say A-. Why not?
End of A-. Nike. Oh God, Nike is so weird.
I don't know. I mean, she got the reward. She was played because people had fun playing her, but then she was gone, and then she was played again, and then she was gone.
But like, technically, she could be so good now, right? If you use the absorb to stop the ADC and stop all their projectiles, that could be insane. But it's like one thing on paper.
You have a lot of soul laners.
Yeah,
you have a lot of soul laners that bully her technically.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have to get there first, and then
you might as well do this plan. Chuck her in B and then piss people off to play her.
Okay, people, show us that she's better than this.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, tell me about Nox.
She's a little bit better now because like the minion UI, you can actually hit like characters such as Scylla. Yeah, like characters such as Scylla or Nox or anything that has a circle, it's going to be a lot easier to actually clear the wave. However, Nox is still a little bit underwhelming. You can still like beat her combo and just like kill her or just get away. Again, a super duper good Nox player is going to make your life a living hell. But apart from that, I'll probably put her in A- just because she's most of the time she's a little bit better, but she is still not at that level, I'd say.
And same. Go on with Nua.
Nua, on the other hand, a little bit better. Her ability to clear at level 1 is pretty decent. She can reach the mid game a little bit faster now, especially if you pair her with a jungler that is pretty good. Her late game is already nuts, but we know that. Her mid game should be, again, still pretty nuts. Her early game is technically her downside, but if you look at it, it's actually not that bad even. So I'd probably put her in A, just because she's balanced at the moment.
And then we have one of the bigger deals, and that's Odin. He got a lot of changes throughout PTS, and I think even after all these changes and some nerfs, he is still a strong character for sure.
He is insane. The reason, even if you have leaps in your team, you will be forcing the enemy character to leap anyways, because you're going to be going on him. His bird bomb combo between the second and first ability deal an insane amount of damage. His third ability is you can't knock him up whatsoever, and he does damage on pulls, and then he has a stun on top of that, and he can deal damage to you without even doing the stun if he wants to kill you even quicker.
And he can hold the stun as well and just, you know, set up for the next fight, which should be the downside of that ability, right? Like, you should be able to interrupt it, but he can just hold it and then walk in and stun you right away.
So the only true way you can actually counter it is you need to stun him. Because I was thinking about it, maybe play something with the knock-up and then counter him, but that's not the case whatsoever. So, again, I think the character is insane. The fact that you can kill the cage now, you don't really need a phantom either. Because, like, by the time you're going to pop your phantom, you're going to, not only, like, the cage is going to be done, but you're also going to be taking damage because you're going to be walking through the cage. And every single time you walk through a cage, you take damage.
You're better off just taking
that
shell
and
just shelling whoever's in the cage so they can beat down the wall.
Yeah, or that, very true. I'd say the character is a little bit insane. Maybe put him next to Heimdall, but that is just my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like he's even stronger than Heimdall if I look at them like next to each other right now. I think
you can knock Heimdall a little bit down then, and you can keep the Odin on SS in that case if you think that.
I think Odin is just he just got more, like, he just got better in every regard, except that you can break out of the ultimate now. But I think he's a bit crazy.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Olaran, just give me a letter. We have to speed up again.
A+.
Yep. Easy enough. We have to see what the item changes do. Osiris. That's a tough one.
Probably A+.
Yeah.
Probably alongside Amy and the other ones that put Achilles and stuff like that.
Yeah, true. Berserker Shield might make a bit of a comeback as well with Glad Shield being
potentially, yeah.
Pele. Just A?
I'd say either A or A+, somewhere in between there. She's still pretty strong. She still does the job really well. Goes in, kills you, gets out.
True. Persephone. Tell me about her.
A+.
A+. Yep.
Yeah.
Go on. We have two more mages. Poseidon.
Poseidon A+ as well, next to Persephone.
Okay. Ragin.
Ragin, we need to see a little bit more from him. I'd say A for now.
Okay. I think Ragin is going to be one of the more interesting cards this season, based on the item changes that might change a lot for him or might not. We'll see.
Oh, yeah.
Ram, I would say it's definitely above A right now because the item changes help him a lot.
He gotta be.
But
I guess A+ unless you want to push him further.
I want to put him at A+, but towards the start with Izanami. I think that's where he is. Like, very strong A+. Oh, Ra.
I got not much input on it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe A.
Yeah. There's a janky start that you can do with Ra that is really funny. I don't know if you've seen it. Where you can get both, of the camps on the side and then the mid lane. That could be interesting.
Oh no, I actually didn't.
It can do that with Scylla too, which is really interesting. I don't think it's going to change anything for Scylla though, but outside of that, he's hard to place, honestly.
Yeah.
Red Tusker is also hard to place to me. I don't really know how he's doing now.
I'd put Red in A+ just because like you do have the potential of like doing really well in the early game and potentially carrying that over, but you do need a team comp that does really well in the mid game to late game because Red is going to be falling a little bit the later the game goes.
True. At the same time, his late game isn't terrible. Like you could have worse ones. You still have a nice ultimate anyway. So.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Speaking of late games, we have Raven.
It's a tough one because Raven does counter Poseidon in every single possible way you look at it, and but the character overall in the jungle, he feels just balanced. So it's definitely a shift between A and A+.
I would say A. I think it's just he's clear in early game is nice, but I think there's just so many situations where Raven just can't make enough happen in later stages if you don't snowball.
Yeah,
and I think it's a big risk.
I agree with that.
Scylla.
Scylla's just balanced. I'd say just chuck her in A, and that's pretty much where I got her to be. Yep.
Serket got massive nerfs to her as a support, so she doesn't do nearly as much damage with the ultimate now. And she also got another nerf. I think it was to her 1. Yeah, the damage of the 1 is also reduced. So I think Serket support is going to be less of a thing.
It's going to be less of a thing. Serket jungle is going to be a thing if you do want to build power, but her ultimate is not going to be dealing that much true damage because you need power. So you probably chuck her in A just because, like she's probably balanced at the moment. Maybe she's a little bit less than balanced, but I'd say she's balanced.
Yeah, I'd still say A, just looking at the fact that Malice is an item that could be really good on her if it works out. So that would be nice with the extra CDR now. Set.
I don't have much experience with Set. That's the trouble here. I don't really have much input. I'd probably just chuck him in A if it was after me, but it's up to you. Whatever you want to put him.
Yeah, I'll put him. I can't, like, Set is so situational. I mean, he's a solo laner right now, and I think he's quite good there, but I don't know what affects him there the most, or what changes that, or doesn't change that. And most of the bruiser items stay similar, so I can't say A for now. Skadi.
Maybe Scott is going to benefit more in this meta. I don't really know. It's probably A- to A, but that's about it.
Yeah, I don't see her being like the big crit hunter all of a sudden.
Not really.
Sobek. I think Sobek's not bad.
Solid character. I mean, solid character overall.
Yeah. I think if support early aggression becomes a thing, that's definitely going to be huge for him. So then he only has Gap as his counter, basically.
True, very true.
Maybe
chuck him in A or A+. Whatever you want to put
him in A+, and let's be optimistic and see if it turns out right.
All right.
Sol. That's hard because she also got a lot of item changes.
Just because I put the other attackers in A+, I'm thinking to put her in A+, even though I kind of want to put her in A because that's just how I feel about her. However, she can fight you in the early game and poke you out. Most Soul players will do that, clear the way, fight you. Then they get you low. They can invade your stuff. Let's say A+, just because of that.
I actually second the notion towards A. I think like somebody did a comparison. It wasn't really a good comparison because it was missing some stuff. But in terms of their late game damage output, and Sol is like a lot behind the others, and I think that's a problem if you're going for these new builds. So I would say
true that. I actually seen that. I'm pretty sure I've seen something very similar. If I didn't see the same thing, I know Sol's late game might not be the greatest. I just know that Sol's early game is very, very good. It's pretty much where she peaks.
But true, she also has an easier time clearing those like the harpies very quickly and stuff. That's definitely a thing for her. Okay, let's put her A+. Yeah, that's a good point. Sun Wukong got pretty big buffs, right? Was that this patch or last patch? I don't even.
This patch. I can't remember if it was last patch. I'm pretty sure it was this patch, however.
He has an attack speed slow on his 2 now, and his ultimate does more damage as well. I think he's pretty good now. I think he's...
Do we dare putting him in A+ and have so many solo laners in A+?
I think we dare. I think solo laners are going to be good this season anyways in general, unless they nerf Warrior's Blessing. I think most solo laners are going to dominate the field a lot, so I think we just put him there with the others. And if he goes down to A, he goes down to A. Susano got a nerf, We have to point that out, but I think that nerf was not enough to like...
Third ability?
Destroy him. Yeah, third ability, 2 seconds extra cooldown and a bit less scaling.
And then, I mean, a little bit of a nerf on the Hydras as well, which I suppose we need to take that in consideration as well. But, I mean, the character is still going to be countering mages and such.
Yeah, and the thing is that with Susanoo, as much as people always preach the attack cancel, he doesn't rely on Hydras. If you get Transcendence plus Crusher plus Heartseeker, and you just spam your abilities, you still do a ton of AoE damage. Like, it doesn't make that much of a difference.
I mean, if you get bored and you actually want auto attack cancel without the Hydras, you're still dealing a decent amount of damage anyways.
Yeah, it's not... He doesn't rely on that too much, so I think he's still strong. I just don't know...
I'd say A+, if anything, and then see where he's going to be falling as we get longer and longer into the season.
Yep, sounds good. Sylvanas. I think Sylvanas is going to be very interesting because the new... Void buff gives an attack speed buff, which means his early pressure is going to go up a lot if you just give that to the Sylvanas instead of the ADC, as it used to be with the old attack speed buff as well.
Yeah, next to Geb and Khepri to me, that's probably where he fits best.
Where are they? Oh, here, yeah.
A+.
Yeah, A+, up there. And, Terra. I don't really know.
I don't know how to feel about Terra, because you have Emoji on the other hand. And it's like, well... Yeah. Here is Terra, but here is her better version.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe A+ if you want to be generous.
That's very generous, eh?
Yeah, very, very generous actually.
I would say A. I would say she's not quite Khepri Gap level right now, is she?
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I can definitely agree with that.
I don't know how she's at a solo though. Well, I don't know. I haven't seen her at solo in ages, so I don't really know. Thanatos. Can we build a new shield on Thanatos? Get more heal? Does that work?
I mean, I guess if you really want to do it, you could, I suppose.
I mean, the stats, that's the thing. Like, the stats on the shield are really crazy for the price, so might as well. I think Thanatos is at least solid. Like, he's not bad right now.
He is definitely solid, and because I'm pretty sure I did say about Pele and Rat that they are A+. I'm probably going to be, especially because of the Rat, I'm probably going to say Thanatos is going to be A+ as well, because he can counter Khepri, and Khepri is in A+, Rat is in A+, we might as well put Tano in A+ as well.
Yep. Tell me about the Morrigan.
Really strong character. Her clear is insane. She doesn't rely on her build to kill someone. She just, even if she does 200 damage at, let's say, level 13 with her 1, you still transform into someone else and kill that person. So it's probably alongside Kukulkan and Merlin.
Yep, I second that. Also interesting that the new Rod start would allow her to get a really early Chronos pendant. Not necessarily what you have to go for on her, but if you want to get that CDR double rush,
you have the option. Yeah. It's always good to have the option.
Yeah. Thor, I think he got a nerf, right? I think he got.
He did get a nerf on his ultimate. I'm pretty sure his dunk went up to 110, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that.
Which is quite a lot, right? It's like 20 extra seconds on the first rank. That's
oh yeah, but no, definitely. But considering the junglers are going to be building cooldown reduction anyways, he should still be really, really good anyways.
Sure.
Definitely one of the better junglers out there. He was top pick last season. Top ban, and this season she should probably be still up there. So yeah, it's
I gotta say, it really upset me that they didn't nerf him earlier and said like, oh, he's fine on the dev inside, and it's just like, no, he's not.
Very sure.
but he's left now. What would you think? Like,
I would say either exactly where Bats is or one higher than Bots, but I'd say exactly where Bots is.
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't say higher than Bats right now. I would say with the crit changes, I think that's more territory here on S. Yep. Thor, what do you think?
He's going to be better because again the Chronos Pendant is going to be getting his cooldown online a little bit earlier. He's going to be able to poke you a little bit better. Maybe his level 1 is not the greatest, but then again I don't know how much that is going to matter unless he's going to be against a Hunter. If he's against a Hunter, level 1 might be very rough for him, or the first couple of levels, not necessarily level 1. But overall, he's balanced. Maybe we can chuck him in A+, but for now, I'd say A. Yeah, maybe a little bit later we can chuck him there.
Yeah, especially if he has to go up against someone like Anhur, I think he's still going to have a bit of a rough day. Sure. Oh, that's one I don't know.
because of the sustain that he has, and because the buffs have not been, because all the buff changes have been reverted to like the blue buff and stuff like that, or the nerfs, whatever they were. I'd say tier is probably A+, because he can compete with everybody in A at the moment, or sorry, everybody in A+.
Yeah, and I think the Glad Shield nerf actually helps him, because he doesn't need Glad Shield, and then he bullies those who use Glad Shield more if he goes like Breastplate.
Oh,
so
yeah,
that's nice. Ullr.
I mean, I'm a little bit biased again. Like Ullr to me is, if I'm putting Heimdall on the side, Ullr is the best mid laner out there. Pressure wise is insane. You can pick him in the dual lane, you can have pressure, you can invade if you really want to. However, he probably benefits more in the mid lane. So I would just put him alongside the Morrigan, Merlin and Kukulkan.
In that regard, I would say that he's like, I would say this angle is something you should look at primarily from the mid side. I think as an ADC, he might, well, it depends on the early game pressure, but he's not going to be the best late game ADC right now for sure. Like, it's just not designed for that. But I think as a mid laner, it's going to be a lot more interesting.
I think Ullr, he is more so of a mid laner than he actually is as an ADC. I mean, you can put him in the ADC and he can work just fine. But again, in a crit meta, to put him in the ADC would, you kind of waste him a little bit, when in reality you can just have more pressure in mid.
Vamana benefits from the shield change for sure. That's I think gonna be a very interesting item for him, because that item.
But I don't know if you want to place him in the jungle. You have better characters in the soul lane. You have better characters in the support. Again, you don't really put him in the support. I don't know if he has any place whatsoever at this point in time.
I like him as a jungle, I gotta say that, but the higher the level of play, the harder it is. The problem is still, even after the shield change, is the anti-heal, right? He gets a bit of a benefit there, like I said, to the changed Duke's shield, but maybe like A-.
That sounds perfectly fine to me. A- sounds good.
And then we have Vulcan.
Surprisingly enough, I think he's going to be doing a little bit better this season than he did last season, because of the item changes and because how mid lane actually is. But I'd still put him in A. I wouldn't go anywhere over A.
Shivalanki. Ooh, I don't think he's A+ material at all. I don't think he's as good as those
hunters. He definitely isn't.
I'm torn if he's good. No, I think he's more of an A- really. It's like Artemis Kronos.
I'm thinking of that as well because of the early game, but then again, the early game could be pretty good because of his first ability.
Or should we just
very much of an A character? Very much of an A character, yeah.
Xing Tian, definitely not bad.
Insane.
But
I think as a support, he is definitely one of the top. I know Hori should have been literally, if we're talking about high ranked, Hori should be next to Xing Tian at any point in time. But I would definitely put Xing Tian somewhere in S. If anything, he's very easy to play, very straightforward. Punishes all the characters that they don't have much mobility. You can punish the Mercury as well, because you can punish auto attackers. Definitely in S.
Got a very interesting rise over the season, gotta say, from where he started and where he is now.
from nowhere to where he is now.
And speaking of from nowhere, released this season, Yamoja. I'm just gonna scroll up here and just
scroll up. I mean, if you want to talk about it, you can talk about it. But yeah,
she's just insanely good. The fact that she doesn't really have cooldowns, she's good in support and she is good in solo, and I don't know, people play in mid as well and jungle, I guess. It's like she's just very good. S+, or is she even SS material still?
I'd say she is definitely SS material to me.
Yeah.
A character that can use 4 times or 1 stun you 3 times in one go.
Yeah.
The
lockdown is insane.
Too much. Just slightly too much.
Even if you see like 2 supports just like battling in lane and she just drops the 1 like from her max Omi and just drops the 1 down and almost kills the enemy support, it's just crazy. Plus, people that play her really well put her on yet another level. That I think is the interesting thing, right? In the hands of a player that plays her like not that often, she's not going to be SS maybe, but in the hands of a player that has experience with her, she's just going to be completely unstoppable because she has everything. Like mobility, heal, tons of damage, CC, vision blocks.
She even has pressure in level 1. Yeah. Like you think that like pressure is very important, right? She can just like spam her one and you can just clear without a problem. Yep. Maybe you are going to be playing against the full pressure lane and you're going to have an Emoja and the hunter that you have, which you might not be that pressure heavy, but you can still win the pressure trade because Emoja does pretty much all of the work for you.
Yeah, and then on top of that, she still has the flexibility of multiple roles. It's just too much.
Yeah.
Ymir. I don't. Doesn't really have much.
Very weird one for Amir. I mean, he's a sitting duck again because he has 3 abilities where he is literally just rooting himself, which is a bit terrible. But I mean, the character does have a little bit of damage. I'd probably put him next to Nike because he is super situational and maybe in the right hands he's great, but otherwise it's going to be a little bit difficult.
Ymir needs a buff, but I don't want to see it because I don't want to see Ymir in my games.
No, you don't really want him buffed at the moment. I think it's just the meta doesn't favorize him, which is unfortunate.
He's been like that for a while, that's the thing. What about Zeus?
A-.
Alright. Quick and painless.
Yeah.
And then one of the more painful decisions, Shang-Kui. From the perspective of a mid-laner.
Oh, from a mid laner. Okay, mid laner, not too insane. Soul laner, Tyrannical Plate Helm comes into play. You can actually do things with it. Maybe balanced. Maybe just on the balance side.
I think Shang-Kui is another one of those where we have to see how it works with the items. Currently, the new spear is completely glitched with him. It doesn't work with the one, so that's very unfortunate.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I tested it. I was trying to test some things with him, and then it's like, oh, that doesn't work. Unfortunate. So yeah, have to see how that turns out for him later, or what else is glitched about him.
There are quite a few little interactions that you can actually put out there with Tyrannical Plate Helm. For example, like the Vulcan turret and the Hera Argus. There are 2 examples that you can actually have the Tyrannical Plate Helm buff them. So you have like the Vulcan turret literally have the turret on steroids because you have like 15% more attack speed on the turret. And then Argus is the same thing. Mind you, with Argus, you're not going to be next to him all the time. But whenever you're going to be next to him, he gets a 15% attack speed. So it's quite nice. I mean, it's something to consider, I suppose, right?
I think
same thing goes for penetration.
It was supposed to only be for minions, and they specifically like emphasized that multiple times. So I'm wondering if this is actually intended or if it's just a bug. But we'll see if it stays in the game after this video, I guess.
I'm not sure if it's gonna also stay in the game about the penetration. Again, the penetration is gonna be affecting, so the 40% penetration that you're gonna have or whatever you're gonna have is gonna affect Argus and the turret. So they're gonna have their individual pen items on or pen percentages, I suppose, on their turrets or pets, whatever it is.
But like that, I mean, the tyrannical, well, that's a passive, right? So yeah, it should be separate. Well, all right, we will see. We'll find out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they work, but they do.
Probably spaghetti code. All right, so quick overview here. We scroll down slowly for everyone who skipped to the end. We have our absolute top tiers right now, Umoja and Odin, that I both think will see nerfs. That both are very flexible in their roles at the moment as well. I think that's part of what makes them so strong as well. The now S+ gods, yeah, watch the explanation so you know. And then we have a lot of gods in A+ actually, but some of them are more established A+ gods, like say Achilles or Arma, I guess. And then we have some where we're just a bit optimistic and hope that they will be that good or that the things turn out well for them. So like for example, the Oleron is one of those, or Guan Yu is one of those. We'll have to see a little bit how things develop. And then we have our A tier and A- here, and B tier. We don't have any C tier, so we don't have anyone who's just complete trash. If you were looking at competitive, you would definitely move some gods down here from this area, but a competitive tier list would look different anyways. Yeah, do you have anything else that you want to add?
Don't really have anything else to add. I mean, like, yeah, competitive wise, there would probably be Horus would be up at the top. You'd have like Ching 10 up at the top as well. More characters up at the top and more characters at the bottom as well. But for now, considering it's casuals and ranked, yeah, it should be somewhere banged on, I like to think.
Let's hope it turns out that way. We're here in 3 weeks when everyone has found out the meta. It's like, oh, this card's not where it should be.
Watch the world burn.
And yeah, with that, I'll leave all of Wlfy's links down below so you can check him out. Please do. Yeah, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube as well, I think still. Do you still have that?
A little bit of rubbish on that side. I need to pick up on it again.
All right. So you definitely start uploading there again, right?
Of course I will.
And other than that, thank you for joining me for this. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, anytime. And I hope you guys can find your footing in Season 7. It's going to be interesting, and maybe this helps a little bit with that. And that's all from me. And with that, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope to see you all for the next one tomorrow, and make sure to check out Wlfy's channel. DukeSloth, out.